You want to introduce yourself real quick? But I already did a little. I'll just do another. One of the
Little
oldest
background.
mods, one of the longest followers of the stream. We already did all that. So you want to
Oh,
maybe
nice, nice. Yeah.
pitch a little more.
Yeah, pitch myself. My name's Alan, alchemist. I studied chemistry in college, worked in the CBD industry for like 3.5 years now. They actually just liquidated the lab I was working at, man. The CBD market just bottomed out. When I first started, it was like $2,000 a key, and now they're going for like 2 to 300. So it's just so competitive. So
It was
just
crazy when it started.
I know, man. It was so much money out there, dude. Everyone was hungry to get it, and then supply just skyrocketed, and then price just plummeted. Like,
It is so wild because there's so many stores that popped up and everybody thought it was just like this secret thing that was gonna get you high and
oh
there's so
yeah,
many disappointed people.
yeah. Well, that's kind of the whole Delta-8 thing. That's what happened. The CBD got so cheap. Everyone just found that little secret get you high molecule.
Yeah. Trying to fix one more thing here.
You're all good, homie.
This is actually harder than I thought.
It was way hard for me. I'm the slowest computer guy.
I'm pretty slow with stuff too. I eventually figure it out, but
Dude, my computer was messed up for like 3 months. I kept taking it to the computer shop. They're like, we don't know what's wrong with it. And then they were like, oh, you need to update your BIOS. That was all it was. Like my RAM didn't like my BIOS.
yeah, it's always so simple, but it's so difficult at the same time.
Right? And it's a miracle when they do work. I don't know how these things do work, man. Just numbers.
So you said when you started, CBD was selling for 2K a
Oh yeah.
kilo.
Yeah.
And were you doing any like extraction on it, or how did you start? What was some of the first stuff that you were doing?
Yeah, so I very first started in extraction. So we did ethanol extraction. So it's cryogenic ethanol. So we'd cool it down to like minus 40. And cool thing is like minus 40 is Celsius and Fahrenheit are the same. That's like the one point that they cross at in the graph. So like just minus 40. We'd soak the hemp in there and then run it through a series of filters, the big 100 microns, 250 microns. Those would just get gunked as hell with all these fats and lipids, non-soluble at that temp, and then push it all the way down to like zero point 0.1 micron in a screw press. Then we'd put it through a falling film, just bakes all the ethanol back off, and then you get the crude CBD coming down. Then we would take that crude CBD and then you take that over and distill it. You either put it through a short path, just like basically like a big ball. You see like classic distillation, that's usually what you see is a big glass ball with a little mantle heating it, and then it goes up and comes down a little condenser. But we had a white film or rolled film, just like a huge machine. I think the one we were running was like I think it was like 375K when they first came out. It's expensive as shit. And put it through and it goes in this big ass wiper blade, spreads it around thin as hell, and then it goes down and basically you distill the CBD, boils off, goes up and then condenses down the other side, and then all this residue. We used to call it obsidian. It comes out the other side, and if it cools down, that shit is like glass, bro. It's hard as hell. It gunks everything up. Like I've spent many hours down there with the heat gun trying to loosen this shit back up to like get the like gear pumps unclogged. It's so frustrating, but so yeah, we just extract it out and then distill it up, and then we kind of moved into the isolate a little bit. As that's really the whole when the market fell out. That's what we swapped to make an isolate, and we played with the Delta-8 for a little bit, but so many side products and bullshit, and we
Yeah.
never. That was the problem. The guys I was working for never wanted to formulate anything. They just wanted to like bulk wholesale everything, but then they didn't want to sell it for like wholesale prices. They wanted, MSRP retail prices on bulk wholesale. So we just were sitting, I think at the time I left, I want to say there was like 3,500 kilos still chilling in the storage room.
Damn.
Yeah.
And it was mostly just selling it in bulk and not really making any products, like you said. Did you sell
Yeah.
to a lot of places in Colorado, or how'd that work?
There was a handful of people. I think most of the spots we sold to were in California. That was our problem. We didn't have real distribution. So we were just so focused on just bulk production that we never really focused up on distribution. Like when they
Yeah.
liquidated the lab, they gave me a whole bunch. They gave me 10 kilos. I got 10 kilos sitting right next to me over here.
Tell him 10 keys in the trunk.
Hey, I'll show you real quick. Hold on, take a show.
You want to see 10 keys? 10 kilos of CBD? Did you say it was isolate? Oh, God. Damn. Damn.
Woo.
That's a little workout right there.
Yeah, it's a little bit over 22 pounds right there.
Do some curls or something with that. Jesus.
Yeah, that's a whole bunch, bro. And then I got like a little bit I pulled out. This is like a small sample I pulled out to get tested, and it's all crystallized out. And
that's a lot.
yeah, it's pretty high quality too, man. Like,
what strand is it?
That rainbow strand. I saw that clip. He was like, "Oh."
So I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist because it's Iceland, so it's strandless essentially, right?
Yeah, that's the goal with distillation is you want to pull all those terps out because it just gums it all up. It looks all cloudy, and like when you distill it out in the jar and it's liquid, you can kind of give it a little shake and look in the light, and if it's all like wavy, there's still terps in there. Kind of, and those hemp terps really aren't good, especially at that high temp, man. They stink so bad. It smells like ass in that lab all day. You're like, oh,
damn, ass. So, have you made? I guess you were making some Delta-8 or doing different conversions on that.
Yeah. We messed with the D8 for a little bit. It's kind of sketchy, honestly. Like the whole process.
When you made it, did you make it from isolate or distillate typically?
We used isolate. I got a good bit of isolate next to me too.
And just for a quick breakdown for maybe any of the people that get Delta-8 regularly and they read on the website, oh, it's found naturally in cannabis plants, but we're not getting them like that. Oh, no. Do you want to give them just like a nice explanation on maybe how it's made?
As far as I understand, I mean, it does naturally occur, but not in any significant quantities. Like my girlfriend works with the state testing all the time, and they don't really see Delta-8 at all. So it's like below the limit of quantification. So it's like, I mean, it happens, but it's not at any point where you're going to get like enough to make edibles or whatever out of it. So it's pretty much all 100% synthetic on the market. So it's really like you take CBD isolate and you dissolve it down, and like what we did was alkanes. So it's like hexane or pentane, or could use like heptane, but we mostly did pentane or hexane. And then you put it in a like big glass 100-liter reactor. That's what we would do. And you add an acid in there. So we use a p-toluene sulfonic acid. It's fucking sketchy. It's like really bad for your kidneys and shit. Like it's all like really sketchy chemicals. Like, so then you react that up. We'd let it go for like 24 hours at, a cold temp. And then because it's exothermic is the other thing. When you add that acid in there, changing it from CBD to Delta-8 actually gives off heat. So you have to like leave it under a cooler, and then we'd take that and neutralize it with baking soda and salt, try to crash everything out, and then take that, put it in a rotovat, pull all of the pentane or hexane out, then you redistill it. We did short path, and it came out looking like hand sanitizer, bro. Like, clear white. It looked nice as hell, but it's like, I don't know. I tried to dab it, and I mean, I cleaned the shit out of it, and I tried to dab it, and it was like, it killed my lungs. It tastes like those fucking like 2013 dabs when everyone was like, hit the nail, watch Cherry Hot and Titanium. He's like coughing for 10 minutes. Like, it was like, oh, I was like, this isn't it, man. I don't like this. Like, so I made it a couple times. I tried it a couple times, but I was like, I don't think this is for me, man. Like, just seeing behind the scenes, especially, you're like, there's a lot of sketchy shit going into this. Like,
yeah. And like, you were just dabbing the non-flavor added, like after the batch, right?
Straight distillate. It was like, let me see if I can pull a picture. I think I have a picture on my phone.
And that's what most people aren't getting. They're getting something where they added flavors in afterwards.
Oh yeah, maybe especially like a cart or something. Yeah, they're dumping a bunch of terps and bullshit in there. Like, so I got
bro, it's Granddaddy Perp,
right?
We added these terps.
That was what the distillate came out looking like, just straight.
A little bubbly. Oh, there's the focus.
Clear, bro. Like, that was just from dumping it from the.
And that's like syrup consistency.
Oh, I mean, it's sticky. It's sticky as hell, bro. Way stickier than CBD distillate. Like, it was the only reason it's bubbly there is because we had just dumped it from the collection vessel into glass, into the jar. So it's like a little bit of air came with it, but I was like, ugh.
Damn. That it looks interesting. I've definitely seen like the big jar shots, and like you can buy whole jars of it from some websites that just
Oh
you can
yeah.
get 10 grams, 20 grams, or
Yeah, so it's like it's legal in most states. Most states where Delta-9 is legal, they made Delta-8 illegal because they're not getting the like state revenue tax on all the checks and balances, where you need the
yeah.
licenses and everything all throughout. So it's like illegal to buy in Colorado, but a lot of people produce it out here. But I'd steer clear, man. If at all possible. It's
Yeah.
just it's some underground chemistry shit. It's a little weird, man.
I'm not trying to fucking deal with that. It really it's so crazy how much of it there is, and I think your your line of work is a perfect example of like why there's so much, because there was a huge CBD craze and people were just piling up so much isolates and distillates that had tons and tons
Hmm.
of CBD. It's selling in every gas station. Every city has
Right.
10 stores popping up, and they're all like, we got CBD everything. You go into the dog store and they got CBD products for people too, and it's like it's in the it's in places where they don't even sell stuff. They're like, get your hair cut and buy some CBD, and you're like, what? I don't. How is it everywhere? Everybody's
Dude,
selling it.
we were at King Super the other day. We saw a CBD candle. I was like, what the hell
Oh,
is this?
see, they have CBD pillows and shirts, so like it's CBD infused. When you sleep on it, you're gonna
Right?
get. I don't.
That's exactly. It
It's
was just so much supply got, formulated. Everyone's just like, what the hell can we do with this now? Like, because, I mean, the real bulk scale manufacturers, I've seen some videos online and it's insane. Like, the column I had was maybe 3.5, 4 inches wide, like
mm.
5 feet tall. And I've seen columns that are like 10 feet wide, 3 stories tall. They're just pumping out hundreds of kilos every hour. Like, we'd be doing maybe 10 on a good day. Like,
I wonder how much like Delta-8 that's being sold now is like some CBD from 5 years ago that just never
oh,
sold, and they're
bro.
like, let's flip it.
After they liquidated the company, I actually went to another CBD lab in the city, and I was walking around in there, and she was sitting on, hemp, like biomass, like actual hemp plants that is, 3, 4, 5 years old. She had tons of this shit, bro. Like shelves up to the ceiling. I'm walking around, there's like rat shit all over the building. I'm like,
Oh,
oh, like she's like, do you think we could make a product together? I'm like, maybe. And then it's just like I had to tell her, I was like, this isn't gonna work for me, man. Like this is just the work, the quality standards aren't there. This is just disgusting. Like a lot of this shit just isn't regulated at all, man. It's just a bunch of rich ass people that want to get even more rich. They don't know anything. Like a lot of the people I know that are producing CBD like, hate weed, they hate THC, they hate the whole culture. They're just in it for the cash, and they don't give a shit. Like,
mm-hmm. A lot of the people that are in the business of it were voting against it every chance they got, and
oh
the
yeah.
second it was, they're like, well, I can make money
It's like,
off
I
it, so
guess. I mean, if I can buy a license, whatever, who cares? Like,
yeah,
man, it's crazy, man.
it is pretty wild. So you said like there's not a lot of regulation and stuff, and we're talking about like older things. Like they don't have to say where they got the CBD from that they made into Delta-8. When they make it, it's brand new or whatever, right? Like if they're getting a
Well,
lab
I mean, I
test
think
on
you're
it.
supposed to. There's supposed to be like a chain of custody that's supposed to show like where it was, what farm grew it, testing for pesticides, who accepted it, who processed it, and then who shipped it out or formulated it. But it's just so unregulated, you know what I mean? Like there's
Nobody's
just not that.
checking.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're supposed to do it, but I've never, I mean, in the 3.5 years I was doing it, we never had one regulatory body come in and say like, hey, what's up? We're here to do a checkup, make sure you're doing things right. It was just I don't know,
Yeah,
man. It's pretty sketchy for real.
that that is crazy too, because it switches into so many things too. Like for some stuff, you like you said, there could be 5-year old hemp sitting around that somebody finally decides to blast down, and after tons of work in the lab, it looks like that clear jar that you
Oh
showed
yeah.
us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's like bleaching clays and shit you can use and clean it all the way up. I mean, we used to run, we had like industrial equipment that was like agriculture equipment for drying hemp and shucking it, like hand shucking it. It was weird. It was like these rubber fingers. They said it was for like it was from like the poultry field was what it was for. They would put like chickens through there, and the rubber fingers would like rip all the feathers off these chickens, and they adopted it for the hemp. So they would throw these huge hemp stalks in there, and it would rub down and rip all the leaves off the stalk, all the buds off the stalk. And this little like shaker table where all the buds would fall through the holes, all the leaves and stalks would stay up top, and then so we processed a bunch of hemp that we didn't even extract. It was just like whatever, give us, however much money per ton and we'll run your shit through our equipment. And we saw some nasty stuff, man. Like they do roll bales, which is where they pull it up wet, roll bale it up, and then they're supposed to wrap it airtight. So it's like allegedly like no bacteria or anything can grow in there. And we would bust those things open and it would smell so bad, bro. Just like
Oh,
mold and mildew. And you're just like, and then you put it in that hot ass like dryer and it stink up, man. We'd open all the bay doors, you'd smell it from like a block away. It was
that
disgusting.
sounds so awful. And for the people around you too, like you
Oh,
could
dude.
just. Ugh.
Our back lot backed up to like a residential neighborhood. So they were over our shit, bro. Like they were over it. They're just like, what the hell are they doing over there, man?
That's gotta suck so
It's
bad
like
for them.
11-foot privacy fence. They just smell shit. They're like, what
Jeez.
the hell? Like
Oh gosh.
that was the
So
best, too.
yeah, you're processing a lot of hemp for other places. I guess there's a lot of people that just grow it and they don't do anything with it or have any means to do it. Is that like
Yeah.
super common that there's just farms out there
Uh,
pumping out hemp
A
and
lot of people, from what I understand, a lot of people would like when the CBD boom and it was $2,000 a kilo. Everyone heard that and was like, "What the hell? Like we can make millions of dollars doing this." So they were buying land, like virgin unfarmed land, and buying it. And a big problem when the industry first started, my first couple of years was the hemp, I guess, would leach all of the like heavy metals out of the ground if it had not been like farmed to ground before.
hmm
So a lot of the shit was coming up hot for like super heavy metals, and like a lot of people aren't testing for that. There was like most spots you just need the percentage test, like how much THC is in there, how much CBD is in
yeah.
there. That's all we're worried about. As long as you're below the 0.03% or 0.3%, whatever the hell it is. I think we were allowed to have up to 5% because we were still in process, but it was, they weren't worried about like arsenic in there or some crazy pesticides in there. It was like, as long as
Yeah.
it's below the percentage, who fucking cares, dude? It's all good. Like, it's
Damn.
like, ugh.
Okay, it's less than 0.3% THC, but it's 4% arsenic. Like,
Yeah, right. They're like, just don't look for that. As long as you're not looking, it's
it's,
fine.
damn. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
true with a lot of crops out in nature, definitely. So you gotta you
It
gotta
was weird,
test
man.
you gotta test for it. A lot of that hemp is grown outdoors, not as
Oh yeah.
cushy as the indoor weed,
Oh,
that they're
the
trying to
money
sell.
just wasn't there for the indoor grows. Like, I mean, people were trying to sell like flower hemp, but a lot of that ended up, the real market on that ended up being people like spraying D8 on there. You make D8 and then spray it on hemp flower, and that's how you could get like a premium, like 30, $40 an eighth or whatever. But it was, I mean, we're talking dollars per pound on hemp.
Yeah.
It's not like, flower, like hemp, like THC, or you get, I think $1,000 around now is what the going rate for a pound is. But it's like, I mean, you're talking $2.50 a pound. It's like, it's just
And
not
that's
worth the
nice
input. Like,
looking, looks like decent buds, like the stuff that they're gonna cover in Delta-8, that cheapest stuff.
oh yeah. I mean, you might, maybe if you have some super fire hemp, you might get, $300 a pound, but it's not, it's not in that
There's
same
not a lot of
ballpark of,
buyers for it, yeah.
yeah, where if you grow some nice indoor and break it down, you can get $4 or $5,000 a pound. Like it's not worth the energy cost, the
hmm
square footage and everything. It's just,
You want fields of it, like just
oh yeah,
pumping.
millions of plants, bro. That's how they do it. Hundreds, thousands of acres, millions of clones. Like that lady I was working with said she threw down 1 million clones one year, and I was just like,
That's hard to visualize because
I
that's a
know, dude. I mean, that's like
fuckload.
industrial farming. That's not like out there by hand planting it. That's like combines rolling down. That's like a cornfield of just hemp. Like,
Yeah. I'd love to see that in person where it's just as far as the eye could see, but
yeah,
just for a
yeah.
minute, then I want to leave.
Yeah. It was like 2014, I think. Me and my buddies were on a hike, and it was like back by the University of Kentucky, and they had a little hemp field on this like back of this bike trail. and we were just smoking a blunt, walking around and around in the corner and saw him. We were just like, did we just stumble on like a weed field? And we were like so confused. It was like, it smelled good, looked like weed. We were like, what the hell, dude? Like, we were like, and then we saw a little plaque out front that was like, Department of Agriculture, hemp products. I was like, oh, this shit's worthless.
Not the Kush. No,
Yeah.
dang.
That was
So
the thing. We'd have
go on.
truckers come in all the time, just bring in like, they called them like super sacks. It's like, I mean, 800 pounds in a bag. And we had, thousands of them. And these truckers would come in and be like, you guys got a lot of weed in here. We're like, it's not weed, man. They're like, hey man, I'm cool. Like, you don't get a lot of me. Like, we're just like, dude, I mean, you can grab a handful if you want. Just smoke this shit all day. You're just gonna be coughing, bro. It's not gonna hook you up at all. Like,
You're not getting high. Yeah.
right.
Dang. So are there any, I guess I saw you with the 10 keys. Are there any CBD products that you use regularly? Anything that you actually like, or?
I mean, honestly, I like dabbing the distillate. That's kind of that's what I call it, like my parachute. If I take too many dabs, like just, concentrates and I get way too high, take a little dab of CBD, it kind of mellows me back out, kind of get into the playing field again. When I get my head too much, smoke so much sativa or whatever, and I start being like, what's the point
The
of it
best
all?
way
Like,
to solve your I dab too many times problem is just hang on, more dabs. Hang on, we're gonna
Right.
dab something else though.
hear me out.
I like it. Not
Have you
trust
tried
me.
these dabs?
Oh, bro, I'm too drunk. Hang on, take this shot right here. This will
Right.
be.
Yeah,
Nah,
it's like
hang on, I don't know.
yeah, I mean,
I
from
like
what I
it.
understand, how it works is like,
though.
yeah, the THC is like, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe the THC is CB1 and I think the CBD is CB2. So like different receptors in your brain. And when you hit the CB2, it overtakes the CB1 a little bit. So if you hit too much THC, when you smoke the CBD, it kind of relaxes your brain a little bit where you're freaking out too much. I don't know if that's me just placeboing myself into it or what, but that's always been my go-to,
works,
man.
it
Like,
works.
yeah, so
Placebo harder, like.
I don't want to lie to myself here, but
But just play dumb for a little bit if it's working. No, yeah,
Right.
that's what's happening. Well, for sure.
yeah.
I'm good, bro. I don't know. I used to see people talk shit about that, like yeah, I'm out here smoking. All these pussies got to fucking go off to the side and take CBD dabs to try to come down or whatever. And it's like, I mean, if somebody's gonna mellow out or relax from doing more dabs, then just chill. I
Right.
don't know. I don't
I
care.
never understood that whole macho, I can smoke way more weed than you. It's like,
Yeah.
good for you, dude. Like, I'd rather take a couple dabs, chill out. I don't need to, smoke 16 blunts and be like, yeah, dude.
I barely got high off of 6 ounces of weed today. My weed bill is insane.
For real. Yeah, you're just spending more money. I guess more power to you, dude.
You only ate 12 chicken wings? I ate 35. Like,
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Yeah, for real. It's like, I mean,
pussy.
I guess. I'm happy with my 12 chicken wings.
Oh, shit. No, bro, your bill is more. Now you got to leave an even larger tip out here.
Right?
She had to carry the same amount of stuff to both of us. She was just a little heavier. I like it. So I guess I've used CBD creams that I like, or like I had a roller there's somewhere, but like it had a lot of CBD in it. That's one thing that I noticed is some things would be like a whole like 4-ounce cream or salve, and the whole thing had like 50 milligrams of CBD. Like that was something I noticed early on. I'm like, there's fucking nothing in there, bro.
It's
like
crazy, man. You'll go like you were talking about with like the pet treats or whatever. You'll go somewhere and it'll be like 500 milligrams, and then it'll say like broad spectrum extract or whatever, and that's just like just crude. It's not even distillate, so it's like it's just bullshit. And then they're like, each one has like 3 milligrams or whatever in there of crude, and you're like, there's probably 70 micrograms of CBD in there. It's like, what's the point? Like, it's all in your head. Like, I've only seen a handful of products where it's like, here's 2,000 milligrams in a tincture for $30 or whatever. It's like, that's fair, but like a lot of them are like, you want a 1,500 milligram tincture? They're like, it's $75. You're like, why? It's like $75 for 1 gram of CBD. That's crazy, bro. Like, you get a kilo for 300. That's 30 cents for the gram. Like, why would I give you $75 for the same thing? That's insane.
Bro, I put it in the little bbottle with the dropper, okay?
Right? They're like, we melted it in coconut oil and we bottled it up. Give us $74.70. You're like, what the hell?
It's a lot, yeah. I
Yeah.
did notice that. I think there were some places even doing like old school vape pens where it's vegetable glycerin
Mm-hmm.
or whatever with infused like 50 milligrams of CBD, and you just see a little fucking drop of, like you were saying, probably crude oil just floating around in this other liquid, and you're like, this
Yeah.
is dog shit. This
Yeah,
has got to be
the
bad.
whole vape industry is weird too. I started at a vape store in like high school when that shit first was popping off, and that was the real Wild West, bro. Like everyone just making their own. You just buy nicotine apparently, and they had their own little juice factory. Like they were making so much money. They had a good scheme. They would like stock products, and then once people, it's like cigarettes. People would get addicted to the shit coming every day. Like, where's the cotton candy flavor? Where's this one? They're like, well, we ran out the one from the distributor, but we made our own in-house flavor. You get twice as much for the same price. And they're
Yep.
making it for pennies on the dollar. They're just cashing out. No regulation when that shit first popped off. Like
Yeah.
there's just so much weird
Put it
shit,
in a vape
man.
pen, bro. Sell it quick, because they'll vape it. They'll do
Oh yeah.
blinkers on that too, and just
Yeah.
oh, it really mess it up. Damn. I'm thinking about all the in-house. I used to see, we got our e-juice bar where we make our own custom blends
Hmm.
here, and yeah, I used to see a lot of that. And you're buying booth China oil they bought from Alibaba, and
Oh yeah.
they're making concoctions now.
Yeah, like pine oil, whatever. You see all that, people dabbing it like solidifies in their mouth. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like,
And people will go through grams and grams of that before they start to ask questions too. They're like,
it's
"Oh,
like
I got high," and it's like,
I'm coughing up
"Did
rocks.
you?"
Is this normal? Like,
Yeah.
no, dude.
My rig is lined with this white film on the inside after one hit. This is normal, right? I don't,
It's just really good, man, I guess.
I don't think so, bro. Bro, it looks like the best shatter I've ever seen. How can I go wrong?
Right. Yeah, dude. That's crazy stuff.
Pine resin. I want to dab some more tree sap, I guess. I haven't tried it
Right.
yet.
Get in touch with nature.
You said more, but yeah, you gotta get in touch, right? So there's like, I guess, a lot of other things that can be made out of Delta-8, which is something that's always been interesting to me, because they make it out of CBD, but then they got your old THCOs and your
Oh yeah.
HHCs and your HHCOs, and
Hmm.
there's so many where I'm like, it is, I guess, let me grab an example. Like HHCO, is that 5 different days in the lab, or like, do you?
I personally never made it. It's hexahydrocannabinol. So instead of tetra, which is what, four or
Hmm.
five, I can't remember. I'd have to look at a diagram right now. But they're basically adding an extra carbon group on
Yeah.
HHC. So it changes the actual molecule because when you do delta 8 to delta 9, all that delta is moving one electron over. So when you look at the molecule, it's that little like weird hexagon, and you see those lines on the inside. Those are double bond electrons. So they're just shifting that line on the inside from, 7 to, on the 9 position to the 8 position. So you're just moving it one over. So what that happens is I'd have to look at the reaction mechanism. I believe it's a CBD is an open ring and THC is the closed ring. So when you close the ring and make it THC, you can modify it to move where that extra electron is. So delta 8 and delta 9 are really the same molecular weight molecule. You're just changing one electron from one spot to another. But when you make HHC, you're actually adding an extra carbon on that side chain that comes off. So you're changing the molecular weight of it. So it's technically a different molecule. So it's like not regulated. So like HHC is kind of up in the air. Like I've seen a lot of reports where the DEA is trying to come out and regulate D8 everywhere. So they're like, this is all bullshit, because it's the farm bill they came out and said, as long as it's below 0.3% delta 9, you're good. So they're like, oh, it's 90% delta 8, it doesn't matter. But it's like kind of just like a loophole, that they're trying to shut down. But HHC is completely different. Like, and then the O is you're adding I believe it's an acetate group. So it's not a, I
HHC
don't,
was the hydrogen group. You hydrogenate
HHC
it,
is just an extra carbon. So you're
an
adding an
extra
extra
carbon.
carbon. So it's from tetrahydra to hexahydra. So you're adding
Okay.
an extra carbon on there. And then O
Okay.
acetate is you're adding I want to say it's maybe acetic acid. Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, you acetylate it, right?
Yeah, and I believe for that it has to be like under a glove box. Like you have to do it under like a inert atmosphere. You have to do it like under nitrogen because whatever like precursor you use like flame up under oxygen. It's like all super sketchy chemistry shit. It's like not really. It's like it's like a carboxylic acid. I don't know how to share my screen on here honestly, but
Yeah, I don't actually know. It works
it's all good.
similarly to like.
But yeah, I've never tried THCO, but apparently it's way like binds to the receptor way better. It's like up to 10 times more effective is what I've
Mhm.
heard, but I've never personally tried it. Like,
It is sketchy because I think THCO was first tested as like a military weapon in the 40s.
I
Like,
believe it.
yeah,
I
they were
believe it,
doing it
man.
with like Delta-8 back in the day, but they were they were gonna try to drop THCO bombs and see if they could just make
It's like
people
melt
stupid or
everyone's
something.
brain. Just freaking out.
I mean, that's
Especially
a
if you have like zero tolerance, you just get hit with something 10x potent of a dab. You're like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Like,
oh, that actually would be crazy.
yeah.
That
No,
that could be a way to like do festivals and parties in the future,
right.
like
Put it in the water.
crop dust them with a giant cloud of THC.
Oh no.
Oh man. So is that so we're talking about HHCO, so they start out with hemp. It just sounds like a lot of work in a lab, right? You start out with
Yeah.
hemp, then you make it into Delta-8. And then after that's done, you got a
I think you just
hydrogenator
go from CBD isolate. I think is how they do it. So I think it
to
all starts from CBD isolate.
okay.
Because I mean, I knew I've heard of this from a couple people in the industry where they were making CBD isolate into Delta-9 THC,
Hmm.
and you have to use like I want to say it's like sulfuric acid or something. It's like a very strong acid, and then it can make it into the 9 instead of the 8 because the Delta-8 is a pretty weak acid that you use. And then it's I even heard being sold like on the MED like metric system. As long as the CBD isolate you got was from metric, you could like isomerize it into Delta-9 and then sell it in like edibles and shit. And I was like, this is all sketchy. Like, why not just use Delta-9 flower and then extract it over and just it's like so much easier, but it's just so much cheaper to take that isolate. Cause like I was saying, I mean, a kilo of isolate might be 250, $300. And you're looking at
Yeah.
last I heard a kilo of Delta-9 distillate's like, 2,500, $3,000. So you're like a 10x
And
cheaper to
there's
just start
so
with
many
that.
more people can grow that hemp and produce the CBD, so there's just going to be so much more of it to
Oh
make it
yeah.
so much cheaper. So it's cheaper to make Delta-9 out of chemicals and acid washing
Hmm.
your CBD than it is to make it naturally, which is crazy.
Yeah, unless you're just doing some, outdoor. I mean, you're talking about like really just the state regulated stuff that makes it expensive when you have to, have all the licenses and facilities and everything. But I mean, any sort of like street cart or whatever, it probably would be cheaper and easier just to throw down a bunch of outdoor because you can take, just bullshit trim from some outdoor and extract it up and then distill it over, like we were saying earlier, with nice like bleaching clays and filtrates and stuff. You can turn the most bullshit, moldy, gross product into some nice
Mhm.
distillate just from
Mold the
remediating it all the way
gold,
up. So yeah, I mean,
the classic Colorado
you
line.
yeah, you look at the starting material, you're like, I never touched that. And you see the distillate at the end and you're like, oh, take a dab of that.
Yeah,
Like,
I used to say that about a lot of the carts. Like, if you saw what the
mm,
plant looked like, you wouldn't hit that cart. Like,
oh no, yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of it goes into edibles too, because it's just like, I
mm,
mean, it doesn't matter as long as you bake all the terps and chlorophyll and everything out, as long as you filter all that out and extract it right, it's like you're really just left with the THC, like, and then whatever other bullshit is in there, as long as they're starting to test for a lot of it more now. That's the thing. Like they're testing for a lot more, mycotoxins and microbiological shit, and then pesticides and all this stuff that they weren't testing for before. So a lot of places are actually going under now because they can't keep up with the
comply.
new standards, be compliant, and they can't afford the new testing. Now testing is way more expensive for everything, and it's just over regulating it. But I mean, it is good for the end consumer. You're not getting stuck with some shit with, like we were saying, 3% arsenic. Just no one was looking, so it's like it doesn't matter. No one found it. So, but
Damn, that there's so many people getting some shit now regularly that they won't be able to buy in a few years once the testing
Oh yeah,
catches up or
yeah.
something like.
I think California is like way ahead of Colorado in the testing. They've been way more strict on, residual solvents and pesticides and everything, and we're kind of adopting their structure. But
The so I guess the testing is different. Like the dispensary testing is different than like the CBD products.
mhm.
But is there like one standard for each state, or is there some differences
Yeah,
between states?
yeah, it's different state to state. It's just honestly the thing that needs to happen is it needs to be more, it needs to be federally legalized everywhere and just a golden standard for everyone to follow because it really is state to state. Because like I was saying, I have access to, thousands of kilos of this stuff. I was trying to maybe think about starting a little CBD company and just shipping it out. Every state has different laws, every state has different regulations. It's just like, it's just a crapshoot, man. You need like an attorney to even, dip your toe in the water if you want to do it correctly. I just feel like a lot of people just haven't been checked yet, you know?
Yeah, just getting away with with
Well, it's
whatever.
so saturated. Some of them, there's a million little mom and pop shops making everything. It's just they have bigger fish to fry. There's way worse things happening that they have to worry about than, a little hot CBD here and there. But
Yeah. I like that you brought up the mom and pop shops. Are you still in the Springs or
yeah,
in
yeah,
Colorado area? Okay. So there's like a lot of dispensaries like that where it's a mom and pop shop and it's not necessarily like I guess when I used to live there I would go into like a lot of places that were just so bad, but I think they have more testing and more regulation.
yeah.
Is there
A
a
lot of spots have been going under recently, but I mean, when I first moved out here, I was mind blown, dude. I remember I went to a spot and they were showing us flour that was still wet. And they were talking
mm,
about, I mean, it just needs a little time to dry out. And I was like, well, you shouldn't be selling it then. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, this is
I
gross. You got
seen
to
that
jar it up and shit.
advertised.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna
Fresh
mold
ounces,
out.
wet ounces,
Yeah.
$50 wet ounces and you're like,
What?
what?
You need a half ounce?
What did you do to it?
Right? No, yeah. I've been to a spot out here where they were like, we don't have tiers, whatever, like mid tier, top tier, bottom tier, whatever, different prices. Because some spots will be like, whatever, silver label, bronze, gold, however they want to price it out. This spot was just like, this is slightly seated, heavily seated, non-seated, but it's all the same price. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Like, why would I buy heavily seeded weed for the same price as something with no seeds in it? It's like, it's ridiculous. I feel like a
Oh,
lot of that, it's just been so more
free seeds, dude. Grow your own.
right,
Like they'll
exactly.
tell you.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so wild. So a lot of those bad places have gone under. I used to go into some stores where you're just surprised at how bad the weed is. You're like, I'm in
Hmm.
Colorado. The weed should be good. Like I don't know. I used to have this complex about it, and then you go into a bunch of little shops, and you're like, another one. Like there's some turds in those jars. Like I don't want none of this. How do you have 40 jars of brown weed that all looks the same, but you got a different name on each jar? Like
Oh yeah. And you go into some of them, especially on like the reg side, you go in there and be like, this is 42% THC. And you're like, what the fuck? No, it's not. It's
that's
like-
my favorite because it's more than could be possible. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
I bought an
Like
eighth once
we
that said it
rolled
was
it and
44% on flour. And I was like, I'm just buying this for the novelty of it. Like, there's no shot in the world this is 44%. Like, so it'd be like a liquid nug. Like, like
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like,
You would touch it and it would like stick to your finger and you'd have a bunch
yeah,
of goop on. Like I don't know.
exactly, man.
The people want those numbers, bro. They want that picture. They want that
Oh,
flex, bro. I'm gonna post this on Snapchat or Instagram, and I'm better than you.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think we all started there when you first started getting the dispos. You're like, "Well, what's the highest number? I want the highest number because I smoke weed." Like, and you really get into it, and
trust me.
you're like, ah, it really matters more about like genetics and what it smells like, what it looks like. I don't really look at the numbers anymore. Like,
Mm-hmm. Most places do. They treat you like most people shop. It's like, well, do you want sativa or indica? And okay, do you want the highest percent I have? Most places will just start selling the highest percent thing they have in the
oh
store.
yeah,
It's like the bud tender just grab. They know what the highest percent thing is, and they think that you want that because most people will just end up basically going, I want the highest percent. So like, I like going into places where they have like a paper menu. Some of them are daily, and they always cross off the things they're out of stock with, and it's usually like listed in percentage order, so the highest would be at the top, and the things on the top of the list are always crossed out first. It's like they're telling you what to buy at this point. Like you're not even making any choices. You're like, well, if it's not this, if it doesn't have the biggest number on it, it's not the best. So
no, I was just going and asked the bud tender what they're smoking on. I'm like, what do you choose? You know what I mean? Because you got all the options in front of you. What do you choose on the regular? Like, my favorite though is when they act like they're doctors. You go in there and they're like, well, what's your problem? Do you have elbow pain or ankle pain? And you're like, dude, shut up.
Bro, you don't know.
You're talking about. Like,
you don't.
It's so funny, dude.
They write leafly reviews every night. Like,
yeah.
they take themselves
they mean
really
well.
serious.
They mean well, but it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. That's my favorite. So you got any wild bud tender experiences you had recently? Like any elbow pain askers?
No, I mean I've localed it down to like 3 or 4 spots I normally go to, and they're all pretty chill. So it's I don't see all that wild stuff. But when I first came out here, yeah, them trying to tell me, like it's wet, but once it dries out, it's gonna be fire. Trust me. I'm like, bro. Why would I buy this? Like, shit smells like grass, dude. Like, it's really gonna open up once it, cures out in the jar. And you're like, no.
You gotta let the terpenes come out of that one. Like,
yeah, right.
You can't even grow the weed. Why am I gonna listen to you? You can't finish the damn job. Like, ooh, but to get your opinion on this, jeez. What are those? I mean, if you don't mind, what are those 3 or 4 spots? Or I
like Grow Life. Did you ever hit that up when you were in town?
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that. That's a good spot.
I like Grow Life. I like
consistently good.
Herbal Healing's pretty good. A Cut Above. They have some really nice stuff, but they're like tripping on the prices a lot.
That's the Reddit weed, though.
Yeah, I don't want to give you 330 for an ounce. Like, I'm not in high school, you know what I mean?
Right?
What the hell, dude?
But it's good, though.
It is fire shit. I mean, it is nice, but it's like, man, like the Herbal Healing spot used to have what do they call it? Veritas. I used to get Veritas ounces for like 100, 115, and now I think they partnered with Cookies is what I heard. They like partnered with Burner, and they're on that same model where it's like they only sell it by the 8th and like pre-labeled jars or whatever, and like each jar is like $30. So it's like you're looking at what, like
so annoying.
240, 260 for an ounce. Like I smoked this last year for $100 an ounce. Am I paying you, 120x whatever on the same?
They're really ruining the business model in a lot of places. Like, let's just have a cool looking Mylar, and we only sell 8s, and they're all top shelf, and it's like, no, I don't want to play that game, bro.
Yeah, no, I'd rather.
So the whole dispo converted over to that business model, though, from selling ounces.
It's just that one brand. I mean, they still have their like their house grown stuff and everything. That was just a grow they were vending for, and then they just. I mean, you can find them in every dispo now. That Veritas stuff, but it was so nice. I mean, for $100 an ounce, you couldn't beat it. I was stoked when I'd go in there and find it, and they were like, "No, we got it," but it's $35 for an 8th. I was like, "I'm good, man." Like.
That's annoying. It's silly because that's how a lot of people, they like to have that pack. They like to have the cool little picture on it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm take a smoking picture better than you. And
it came in a nice little glass jar. Look at this. This must mean it's nice. And you're like, I mean, you can get the same thing if you know where else to look. Like, there's other people doing the same thing. Like, it's just like the whole like designer weed. They're trying to make it a thing where it's like, oh, it's upper echelon or whatever. It's like, oh, get out of here, dude. Like,
I hate that shit.
Yeah.
And then
I think it's silly as hell.
But you're smoking better than people, and you can flex on them with your weed.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, I only smoke that good shit, bro. Not like you. I smoke the good shit.
I paid way too much, and I can smoke 15 blunts of this. All right, it's the same people.
Bro, Jesus. So, Grow Life, I actually was one of the first places I went to. I was looking for a grow store, and I was like, yeah, bro. I typed a weed grow store into the Google Maps or whatever, and Grow Life popped up. I'm like, this has got to be it, bro. And then it wasn't it.
No, it's not it at all. There's some cheap dabs in there, but
it used to be one of the pricier places when I went. Like, they never had the deals, but like they always had the quality. So it was hard for me. I like to find deals, so when I would go there and they would never have a deal, I'd be a little miffed because I think I lived kind of close to it.
Oh
So it was
yeah.
kind of convenient. So,
Yeah,
but
I
they
don't
would
live
never
too
have
far from
deals. And I'm
there.
like, fuck, but your weed is good.
Right.
There's a place right nearby. I don't know if you went. It's like same block, Biomeds.
I don't think I've
Right.
ever tried it. No.
I think it's on the same block. They were like hit or miss, more hit than miss, but sometimes like really good, and like the price was always pretty reasonable.
Yeah, they just opened up an apothecary up the road, and that's really like the best for dabs, in my opinion. Whenever they
Yeah.
have sometimes because they changed the limit. It used to be you could buy 2 ounces of extracts, and that was the big problem. Was I'd always go to Grow Life, and then there'd be three dudes in there getting 56 grams each. I'm just like, dude, can I get one? Like, and then you get up there, and they're like, oh, we just sold out. And you're like, you don't let these dudes trapping through the mail buy it all. Like, what the? Like, I would like to get a couple, man. Like, just like it's so
I
obvious. They
was
don't give a
buying
shit.
those
Like,
56 grams, but I wasn't trapping through the mail. I was dabbing them all because you get a
yeah,
deal on
see,
2 ounces. Like
right? I'll be
sometimes it'd
back.
be a deal on one, and then it's an even better deal on two. And I'm like, all right, I'll be good for a little bit. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Now it's I think you can only get eight a day now unless you
mm,
have the EPC. So eight, it's either 2 ounces of flour or 8 grams of wax, or like 1 ounce of flour and 4 grams of wax or whatever. But a lot of the times that apothecary will do, get 8 grams of ambrosia, whatever I always get the
live
batter.
resin.
I don't like the diamonds and the terp sauce and stuff. I'm over that, man. I mean, that was
Yeah.
novelty when it first came out. I like the
Now it's
batter all the way
annoying.
up.
Yeah, the
Like,
batter. You're like, all right, I know what I'm getting. Like,
yeah, it's
I
all the
don't gotta
same
fish up
throughout,
these little diamonds and hope I'm getting enough little THCA chunks to
right?
go with my terps. Like,
Just getting a little jar of soup. You're like, what the hell is this? I don't want to, because they would always bait and switch you, especially back in Pueblo when I was on rec shit. It was like they'd be like,
mm,
look at these diamonds. You're like, nice, and it's like gold and big ass fat rocks in there, and you get home and it's just a jar full of brown soup with a couple little like salt flakes in there, and you're like, what is this? Like,
I've got, got like that way too many times.
oh,
The
dude, I
display
called him out
jar
at the
is a
spot in
10.
Pueblo. I called him out and I was like, can you open it before you sell it to me? And the guy straight up said, he's like, no, I mean, that's the whole gamble. And I was like, it shouldn't be a gamble. I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm paying for this shit. Like, it's not like you're like a mystery box. Like, I was like, what are you
Bro, I'm not
talking
buying
about?
scratch offs. Like,
Right? He's like, you might win, you might lose. I don't know, man. Like,
oh,
like,
jeez.
I'm good,
Ooh,
dude.
4% THC and it's trash.
Yeah, it's like, if that's the
Scratch off
model,
your
I'm
fucking.
cool.
Mm.
Hitting a little, you lose.
Ah, fuck. I almost had a winner. The apothecary, they still do the apothecary days, like an event or something. I think I have a shirt for it. Ambrosia
I think they do it on
days,
710. I'm not sure. I got a
maybe.
shirt and like a mouse pad or like a little dab pad somewhere
There
around
you
here,
go.
and they do that whole, spend X amount on this day, get a free hoodie or something or whatever. But
Yeah.
I fell off so much, man. My tolerance is basically zero now. Like, I take one dab, I'm out here like, whoa, what was that?
It's that 10 keys of fucking CBD. Like,
Yeah, for real. I'm
it's the
chilling.
tolerance
I still got
undoer.
isolate. Check this out.
Isolate. Oh, what's up, Pablo? Jesus.
It's probably like 2 keys of isolate right there.
Jesus. Pablo over here.
One Pablo.
So,
Yeah.
what do you do with that one? What do you do with the?
I don't know. I need to figure out what to do for real. Like, I got testing on it. I've been playing with the idea of trying to start a little CBD company because I got access to boatloads of it, and I got enough here to start it all off. It's just like I said, that whole legal shit, shipping it state to state and everything. Like, if I just set up like a farmer's booth, market or whatever, it wouldn't be that
Yeah.
bad, like farmer's market, whatever. But it's already so saturated. Anytime I go to the farmer's market, there's like three little booths set up, and they're like, "Here's
You got the
CBD
best.
soap." Yeah, what the fuck? Like, just like,
Damn. Yeah, there's a lot. You ever try any of the other extractions there? The non-CBD Delta stuff? I guess you got a lot of experience there. But you ever do any like home extractions on like regular weed?
I mean, like way back in the day, like open blasting, like
Classic.
2015, you know what I mean? Like way, way back in the day, like people blowing up their kitchens, when the dabs first came out and nobody knew butane was flammable.
Yeah, I just heard about that the other
Yeah,
day. It was
right. It's like
flammable. I don't know
we
when
were
they
doing it in
changed
the
it.
kitchen on the stove. I don't know why this shit blew up. Like, what the hell, dude? Like, So I mean, yeah, we did
Oh.
some young hooligan stuff way back in the day, but no, I haven't. I've been to a handful of facilities where they do like the closed loop butane extractions and stuff, and they got walls of fucking vac ovens and stuff, curing it all out. But most of my experience really is just with the ethanol extraction.
Hmm. I know there's a lot of places that do in-house extraction or dispensaries. Some of them will have like their grow attached to their sales store attached to their extraction. Like they rent 3 units out in a plaza
Hmm.
or something. Like I think I used to go to this place called High Hopes,
Mm.
and they had like really cheap live resin. The flour, I don't know, the flour never looked great, but the dabs always looked great. Like the grower was
Right.
like 7 out of 10, but the extractor was like 10 out of 10, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
if you know what you're doing, you can clean up just about anything.
yeah.
Like,
So that's always interesting to see. It's like, yeah, well, what's the flour look like? You're like, dude, take me back to the dabs. Those are actually looking really
yeah,
nice.
it's all like different licenses. Like, it's like marijuana infused products or whatever, and then the license to actually like grow the flower, and you need a license to, sell it, distribute it, whatever. It's all weird, man. The medical side, they regulate and nickel and dime you every way they can. Like,
Yeah, it's really annoying. Is there is there shoot, is there any cool weed products that you've got recently? Like seen anything super unique? I used to always see like weird shit in Colorado. I didn't always get it, but it was like some kind of product that's not
it's like
super
these new, they're
common.
making like gusher type deals where it's like a infused gummy and then the inside's infused. That's one of the newer things I've seen where it's like super novelty, you know what I mean? Like, I'm charging extra
Gusher
20 bucks for it.
edibles?
Yeah.
Fuck. I literally every dispensary here sells the same fucking boring gummies that are
Oh yeah.
clear and they're stamped with the little THC symbol and they have chocolate bars or drops. It's like the same 3 or 4 edibles and it's like
Yeah.
super boring white packaging, like all medical. And I miss like I didn't always get it. I wasn't like the biggest fan of edibles, but the variety in edibles, you're like I can get a what kind of candy bar? Like
Oh
a
yeah. Yeah, I got
crazy.
one that was like s'mores and it had like little graham crackers and marshmallows on the top and like that graham cracker was rock hard, bro. The thing almost broke my tooth. I was like, what the hell did y'all put in this? Like I was just like not ready for it, dude. Like I'll just stick with I usually just I mean, because most places you can ask and see like the test on the edibles, that's what I'll go by is they'll be like, whatever this brand is $20 for 1,000 milligram gummies. We have 6 different flavors of this. And I'll just be like, what's the test looking like? Because I think it's like within some of them will be like it's supposed to be a
15.
thousand milligrams. It'll be like 920 or something in there, and then the other one's like 1180 or whatever. And like, I'll go with the 1180. Like I'm not
Yeah,
eating
it's
a whole
that
bag of these at once. Like I don't really care about the flavor.
it's
It's
that
like,
plus or minus 15% variance I think they can
oh
have.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it
They
can
they
be
waver a good bit sometimes. So you're like, oh,
it could
whichever
be
one's
850
strongest,
milligrams when they say 1,000 and you're like, no, 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 no. I want
right?
1,000, bro. Like,
Yeah,
oh God. Don't give me 850 and say it's 1,000. That
yeah,
is crazy.
yeah. That's
Cause,
that's some bullshit.
cause you,
Especially
and
when they're
you
charging like primo prices. Like it's $50 for this 1,000 milligrams. Like $50 for 1 gram. They're like, no, it's a
mm.
1,000 milligrams. You're like, no, it's 1 gram of distillate, dude. It's like I know you guys paid like 2,800 for the kilo. It's like what 28 cents per fucking gram, and you want to charge me $50 for one? That's crazy. Like,
Yeah. I always thought the edible prices were crazy and they got to charge like way more on the super high dose because it's like, well, it's got 5 times as much THC in it. We got to charge 5 times as much, right? It's like, no, stop. You got the wrong mindset into it. Like
right?
the candy
That's where I always
bars
thought the
were
money was,
crazy.
man. If I was ever
Yeah.
gonna start like a weed company, that would definitely be it. Just partner with someone, take all their trim, process it to distillate, split process it, give them 30%, you keep 70, whatever, they don't pay for anything. And you just take all that distillate, make it into edibles. Now you're just printing free money, dude. Like,
Damn. Print it. There's a lot of the interesting edibles. I think I used to see like sauces, like barbecue sauce and hot
oh yeah,
sauce.
they
I used
infuse
to
everything. They have little like
granola
sodas and
bars,
shit out here. They're like, it's a
sodas.
25 milligram soda. And you're like, why? Like, what's the point? Like, they got all the syrups out here. Like,
Yeah.
it's like pour up, like they try to make it like lean, like little like cough syrup bottles, and they're like, it's like, what
That
are you
one's
guys
always
doing?
been weird to me.
Yeah, it'd
Like
be
you're
like
gonna
five.
pretend you're doing lean with
Yeah,
weed now, like,
pretend
yeah,
we're doing
bro.
opiates. This is so cool, dude. What the
I'm
hell?
cool, bro. I poured it in a spray and I drank it out of a styrofoam cup.
Bro,
I'm cool.
they sell like 5,000 milligram syrup bottles, and it comes with like a styrofoam cup with like the label on the rim of the cups.
Oh, dude.
It's like, come
That's
on, guys.
that's borderline canna bumps. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Yeah,
you're trying to sell snortable THC powder. Like you're trying to sell something so dumb. You're trying
yep,
to give me this image of like I'm a cool dude from a rap video I saw a couple of weeks ago.
right.
Like
We're out here doing real drugs. It's like, that's not cool. Like, what the fuck?
next up, injectable weed. Like no, we don't need it.
Right.
We don't. We don't
Hitting
need
between your
that.
toes and shit.
Mm.
Fiending for weed. Like, dude, calm down.
Oh God, that is crazy. I didn't think about that until just now. But they sell it with a styrofoam cup, like the
Yeah.
whole.
And it's like, I want to say it's like $300 or something because it's like 5,000 milligrams. It's like,
What's the
it's
brand?
supposed,
Do you know?
oh, I can't remember. It's been
I'll
so
look it up
long.
later.
Like,
No, I know I've
mm,
seen stuff like that. I just, bro, selling it with the styrofoam cup, like, just
yeah.
go to jail. I don't know. Don't pass go. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's spots out
Don't.
here that do like the pre-rolled blunts with like the gold leaf wrap and stuff, and they're like, it's $100 for this. It has, 2 grams of flour and a gram of extract in there, and you're like, I'm not paying you $100 for 2 grams of flour and a gram of shatter. What the fuck do you
The,
want? Like,
there's the Shaolin brand. Have you seen
yep, I
that?
think that's the one I'm talking of.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
They
that's
have
it.
the
Like,
3.5 gram and the 7 gram roll, and it gets up to like 300-400 bucks for like the
yep,
premium ones. But they're
yep.
supposed to smoke for hours.
That's what
Like,
they say. I haven't tried one. I can't imagine it doesn't run on you though.
yeah, all their marketing was like just like parties and stuff and passing around. Like, you're not
Yeah,
really supposed to smoke that to yourself. That's a let me just share my germs with a bunch of people kind of
right.
thing. Like,
You'd
I
rather buy a
don't.
couple ounces at that point.
It
Just,
didn't look like sell me a half version of it or a quarter version that I can enjoy to myself or something.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I
All
think
that pre-roll stuff is sketch though, man. Pre-rolls, a lot of that is like shop floor scrap and stuff. Like that's
mm,
that's what fails the most from what I understand is like heavy metals and pesticides. Like that's all like waste product. And they're like, it just looks like shit. And they're just like, well, if we wrap it up, they can't see it. So like, they'll sell it
it's
for
the
a
bottom of the
premium. Like,
barrel.
yeah.
It's the floor trim and
Yeah, I
the
always stay
floor
away
weed.
from the pre-rolls. That'd be a tip I'd give to everyone. If you're new to the medical market, don't fall for that. Buy an eighth, get a penny pre-roll. Like you don't want the pre-roll they're selling you for a penny, bro. Like they're just trying
Hmm.
to get rid of that.
There's some good ones out there, but like yeah, if they're a discount, if it's a free one, if it's a $3 pre-roll Tuesdays, you don't want those
Yeah,
ones. You probably don't.
there's
Or
a reason
open
they're
one of
that
them
cheap,
up.
man.
Open one up and look, and then throw the others away instantly.
Yeah,
Like
just
I don't.
rocks and shit, and they're like, what the hell?
I yeah, some of them pop, bro. They got seeds in them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, they load it up, man. Shit's explode.
I've had that happen many a times. God, I can't remember the place, but there was a place that would give you a free pre-roll on your first visit, but it was this long. It was half filter. They had the
Hmm.
filter halfway through. They would fold it in half at the filter so they could stick it in this tiny little plastic like child-proof container or whatever. So I just remember like I got it a couple of times. They just tossed me a joint, but it would be a folded in half joint. I'm just like, oh God, they just
Oh yeah, I
they don't
think
even
it's
care.
altitude or something, AOM or something out here. Altitude Organic Medicine, because that's the spot that was like, we sell it all seeded and lightly seeded, and it's all the same price. And I was like,
They told
ugh.
you the lightly seated was the same price. That's so funny. I was gonna ask you if it was altitude earlier as a joke when you were talking about
Yeah,
it, but it slipped my mind because I have a story there where I went and bought bud and like it had seeds in it and I called it. I'm like, there's a lot of seeds in this. Like I couldn't really tell at the dispo, and they were like, so, and I'm like,
it's all the same. You're like,
yeah,
no, it's not.
they're like, it's weed, bro, and I'm like, yeah, but like if you're growing good medicinal quality weed, like it shouldn't have seeds in
Yeah,
it. Most places would give you a refund or let you exchange whatever. I was kind of just letting them know and like seeing if they were gonna like see if I could swap it out, because I bought a lot of stuff, and like they were super reluctant to swap it out. And yeah, I went into
not an issue.
I went in to swap it out, and like I guess their computer was down, so like we can't do anything right now. I think they were lying to me at the time. I don't know. They're like, come back another day. We'll give you a $5 credit if you come back. But their computer was down, so they couldn't put it in the computer. And I came back and I was like, yeah, that guy said I could have a $5 credit. And the guy was like, that guy can't give out credit, so you don't have a credit. And I went,
I would have just laughed in their face.
I was like laughing. I'm like, are you guys all having a terrible day, or am I getting punked? Do you think I'm trying to pull one over on you? Like, I don't get it. And the weed that they wouldn't want to give me, like they wouldn't want to exchange or whatever, was now marked seeded and like 20% off or something like that. Like they had a discount on it at the time, but they didn't want to give me any kind of credit or swap it out, because they're like, so what, it's seeded or whatever. But I guess enough other people complained about it after me that they marked it down, because they told me nobody complained.
And we were staying downtown Denver, and we went to some rec spot. I can't remember what it was, but we go through and they're saying like all live resin's $35 today. So it was like, all right. My buddy was like, what do you recommend? And he recommended some like jet fuel OG or some bullshit. And he was like, all right, I'll take that one because you recommend it. And then he ate the weed, and then we go to check out, and it was like $20 more than it should have been. And like, I was like, yo, why is it so much more than you said it was going to be? And he was like, oh, well, that's the one strain that wasn't $35. This one's actually $55. And I was like, okay, we don't want that one then. And he was like, well, it's already rang up in the computer, so we can't do anything about that. And I was like, dude, fuck that. Don't pay for that. Like, tell my buddy, like, dude, let's just walk out. Like, that's bullshit. He's lying.
Yeah.
Like, just that you rang it up doesn't mean that the sale's done. We haven't given you cash yet. Like, and then my buddy was like, no, fuck it. I'm going to try it out. I don't care. So he gets the 8th and then the live resin. We go back to the Airbnb we had rented, open up the 8th. There's not a nug in the 8th, bro. It's a completely empty 8th tube. And I was like, dude, fuck this. Like, pissed as shit. Went right back, skipped the whole line, walked right up to the dude that sold it to us and was like, yo, there's no fucking weed in here. After you told us to buy the most expensive 8th and said we couldn't, or the most expensive gram, couldn't swap it out. Like, and the dude was like, I don't know about that. And then he like pulls out a flashlight and is like looking in there to see if there's any like trichomes on the inside. And I was like, this is a brand new tube, bro. There's never been weed in here, like spazzing in the store. Like, there's a full line of people out the door seeing me setting it off. I was like, just fucking swap it out, dude. Like, and they finally swapped it out, gave it to us. And I was like, literally, because there was a dispo right next door to it. And I was like walking out down, telling everyone in the line, I was like, go next door, man. I was like, this is not the place. Don't trust these guys. They're shady as shit. Like, because that's happened a couple times to me where you get the 8th or whatever, go home and the pre-pack 8th's empty. And every time they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry about that. I've never been like, you're fucking scamming us. This is bullshit. Like trying to like inspect it and shit. And I was like, dude, like, you already scammed us once. Now you're trying to scam us twice. I was like, what the hell, dude? Like,
you gotta wonder if he's been ripped off. Like, why do you care that much, bro? Pulling out the flashlight and looking for trichomes, like that's so annoying.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
That was at a dispo in Denver. You remember the name so people know where to avoid? Put it on my list of places to not go.
Yeah, Tori said ballpark. I think that might have been what it was. Ballpark.
Is that the baseball themed one?
Yeah.
No, I talk about that one sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never been there, but I've seen advertisements.
Yeah,
we rented
an Airbnb. It was like right down the street. It was the closest one, so we just walked to it, and it was.
Talk about it. What's the baseball theme? How are they doing it?
I don't even remember.
Just trash.
Bro. I think they just had like fucking a baseball bat in the wall or something. Like it had nothing to do with weed. You know, it was just like baseball, but we're selling overpriced weed here. Really, like just.
I thought I was gonna be standing in line and just hearing take me out to the ball game, and I don't know. That's in my head. I was like, it's gonna be like I'm at the fucking stadium watching
all those rec spots in Denver are like. Here's some shitty screen print Gorilla Glue Bud on a t-shirt for $80 or whatever. They're just tourist traps. You know what I mean? Like,
there is a lot of those shitty dispensaries that'll sell a fucking shirt with their logo on it that kind of looks cool, but then you look at the back and it's got like every store location with the address and the phone number, and you look like you're wearing like a concert tee, and then they sell it for $32 or whatever, and you're like, you want me to fucking pay to be a billboard for all your stores, you fucking motherfuckers?
And then it's that like Gildan t-shirt and it feels like cardboard. And you're like, what the fuck is this, dude?
You wash it once, it's a completely different size. You're
All
like,
the
why is it
lettering's
4
gone.
sizes smaller?
Just cracked as shit. None of the shit stuck. You're like, what is this, dude?
Oh God,
It's
can't read their
35-cent
addresses.
t-shirt.
There's a lot of those places. So that's the ballpark baseball theme. They have some themed tourist trap dispensaries. Like you go by the ski towns where there's only one or two in 60 miles or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you're near Manitou. That one
Oh
one
yeah,
gets people,
Manitou's the
bro.
worst, bro. You
That
go in
is
there,
the
they got a
worst.
half-gram cart for $95, and there's people lined up around the block. You're like, what are you guys doing?
It's
Like,
crazy.
just get your med card. Like, is the amount of times I've been in like line, like where they're like, you have your med card, whoever you're checking in at the front, and the guy in front of you, they're like, hey man, like they're out of town. They're just like, oh, I want to buy some weed. And they're like, you got to go to Manitou, man. Like that's the only spot. Manitou, Denver, or Pueblo. That's it. Like,
If you don't want to drive 40 something miles, you're going to go
right?
to
For
Manitou
real. It's like,
and
oh, you
pay
can come
4
here and
times as much.
yeah, you get an ounce for $600, or you can drive an hour away. Like, it's crazy, man. Those
That
guys are
is,
cashing out. I don't know how they got those licenses, but there's literally two dispos in Pueblo or in Manitou, and there's
it's the Emerald and
always a line around the
Maggie's.
block. It's Maggie's and then
Emerald Fields.
Emerald. Yep, Emerald and Maggie's. Yep.
Because they can't, there's no way they could go out of business at the
Oh,
prices they can charge, which is crazy
never,
too. They have the
never.
cushiest setup ever. I brought a couple people in there because when I lived in the Springs and people would visit, they'd be like, I want to go into a dispensary. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, the only
Right?
ones that we can go into suck. Like, I have my card, so I can go into any of them. But, like, it was so bad.
Dude, same thing. My buddy came out. We went to one in Manitou. I'm not exactly sure which one it was, but they had a line around the block and they were like, come up to the front and check in. And then once you check in, get in line. And I went to check in and I was like, yo, I have a med card. I don't know if this makes us any different or whatever. And they're like, oh, you can come in on the med side. And I was like, oh, my buddy's with me though. He's from out of state. He doesn't have a med card. And they're like, it's cool. Just buy it and just give it to him. It'll be way cheaper. And I was like, you guys definitely
That's
aren't
legal.
allowed to say that. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like,
No,
so
I
then
think they
like,
can say that. You can gift weed for free, even if it's medicinal and you bought it. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I don't know. It was just,
It's weird. As long as you don't sell it, you can
I
gift
guess
it.
maybe that's the loophole.
Yeah.
But we skipped the whole line. I'm not exaggerating. It must have taken the guy
Yeah.
25 minutes to figure out how to
I've
check
skipped
in
the
on
line
med
there.
side. Because like no one's ever checked in on med at this spot with this
Yeah,
guy. I
yeah,
guess he didn't know
yeah.
what he was doing.
That happened
Like,
to me. They were like, "How do you do a met?" I've never done one. They just ring out fucking $800 eights all day. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
dude. And then they pull us in on the med side, and they're just like, no one had been on med in so long. They had all these like, vacuum sealed like turkey bags, just pounds, just busting them out, like cutting them open, handing them to us. And my buddy's like never been in a dispo or anything. He's like only bought weed on the streets and shit. So they like hand him the turkey bag, and he just like grabs a big handful of the weed. He's like,
Ah!
and like the lady behind the counter was like,
Whoa,
no, no, no,
whoa,
no, no, no.
whoa.
I was like, whoa.
That's so common too.
It was
People
so
used to just
funny.
grab stuff out of display jars all the time and break it open, and I'm like, "What are you doing, bro?"
Yeah. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Yeah. Well, now you got to buy the whole thing.
Right? We're selling you the pound, $6,000. Like,
But it's weird to say you can put your nose near it and smell it, and fucking dangly boogers can fall out on it. But don't you
Right.
touch it with your goddamn hand like that. It used to
breathe
be
right
like
on
that.
this shit.
Yeah.
A lot of those spots, you ever see the ones that had like those little acrylic containers with like a little built-in magnifying glass, and they had like little drill holes in them to like smell through it? You can't smell shit through that. You're just like looking
The
at it like,
smell
what
is
the
gone after 24 hours. It's
Dude,
like,
yeah, just been
yeah.
sitting out, just stale as shit. And then you go to
Yeah.
buy it, and they're like, "Oh, we're all sold out, but you can get the display if you want." It's like, "Is there a discount?" They're like, "No, it's just stale as shit for the same price." And you're like, "Nah, I'm good, man." Like,
Sometimes you get 10% off, but a lot of places would sell the display for the same price. And I'm like, are you? It's been sitting open, exposed to the light and air for how long? And it's
Yep.
going to be the same price? Like,
yeah, I fell for the display a couple times when I first came out here, man. I was like, I mean, it looks pretty good. Like, you go to dab,
Somebody
there's
touched
no
it.
flavor in it, and you're like,
assume
what
it's
the fuck?
sneezed on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone sneezed on
Quickly
those
learned.
dabs.
That was not the move.
Man. Bro, the Manitou spot, that's so crazy because I've definitely taken people there. You get like on the rec side, I think at the Emerald place, I took somebody in there and they got a joint that was 1 gram. It didn't even look like a gram. Like I was like, I don't think that's a
Never
gram.
does.
and it was like $27, and I was just like,
Yeah.
ah. But they were so bent on. I was like, we can go. I could go buy it from anywhere else and get you like 10 of these for the same price. Like,
Right? It's like, no,
no,
I
I want the experience.
of spending my own money in an establishment. Like, I guess, dude.
I just want to have a receipt from a dispensary that says I got ripped off. Like, I don't
prove everyone you overpaid.
Oh, shit. Yeah. That's
I mean, I
crazy.
understand the novelty of wanting to go in there and look, you know what I mean? But you don't need to purchase it. Like,
Go
I
look.
don't
Yeah,
know.
they got all the displays. They got people walking around with the tablets or whatever, Emerald,
Oh
I
yeah.
think. And
We went into one with our buddy and they were like, I need your phone number. And I was like, I don't want to give you my phone number. And they were like, well, we need your phone number to track and make sure that you didn't come in here already. And I was like, all right. And then I just made up a phone number and just walked
Yeah,
in. And I was
right.
like, what was the point of that? Like, it was just
it's
the dumbest shit ever.
911,
Like,
420.
yeah, 69, 420.
Wouldn't it be your ID that they would check to see?
Right? Like something that actually matters, not just a random number typed into an iPad. They're like, oh, this number hasn't come across us today. You're like, I guess.
Hey, that's why Kevin Gates has 2 phones. Like, he can go to
Right?
the dispensary twice. Like, he's
getting-
good, bro.
He's overpaying twice.
He hits it with the other number. Like, ooh, this is my daytime purchase. I gotta hit him with the other number. Whoa. So have you been to a lot of places in Denver? A lot of dispensaries?
I mean, when I first came out here, it was, when I'd fly in, we'd fly into Denver and then we'd go hit a couple up there. It's been like 3, 4 years, so I really don't even remember the spots I'd go to up there. And I used to go to a couple spots in Pueblo that were pretty solid when I lived there for a while. One of them was Apothecary, which, they have in the Springs as well. That's, kind of my go-to for extracts. I think that's the best extracts you can get out here. And then other than that, it's just been, 3 or 4 in the Springs I hit. I'm kind of like a lazy guy, Once you get that routine, when I first got my med card, I was like, I'm gonna check every store out. And then, you hit, 10, 12, 14, and you're like, a lot of these are fucking trash. It's like I don't never want to come back here again. Like,
Yeah. I found that same trick. I was like, I'm just gonna try to get one little bit of stuff from each place so I really know who's got the best stuff. And then you go and they all have the same third-party edibles and the same dabs at some places even. And then it's just like the flower's a little bit different. And you're like, oh, it's
just get burnt
not what I
out.
thought.
Try to driving everywhere to find the same shit. Like,
Yeah.
I found
And then a
one
lot
spot.
of that bad flower you'd find. Sometimes you feel obligated to purchase because you already went in and you looked
Wasting
at
their
everything.
time. They're showing you everything, and you're just like, oh fuck, I guess I'll buy an eighth of this garbage for $30. Like,
I'll try it.
then you feel bad, and you got to tip them. And then there's taxes on there, and now you're paying $42 for some trash, and you're just like, damn it, I'm never coming back here.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because there's a lot of places where I'm like, is this a front for something? There's no way people come in here and buy your weed. Like, I don't.
Like, oh, we're selling ounces of shake for 180, and you're like, how? Like, why?
Ooh.
Like,
But some people are, like you said, lazy, but they just never did the first part of exploring, and they just go to
Yeah.
the closest place to their house, and they're like, I'm good. Well, it's good. And then
Yeah,
they
a
try
lot of
another
people
place after a while.
they don't know either. They're just like, I really like this, and you're like, we've never really smoked good weed. Like, it's like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Especially like the older generation, I feel like, because I've, like a lot of the younger kids, we grew up with the hydro and everything out. So when you're like, the old school, just everything was just mids. There was no seed-free weed
Gets
or
me
anything.
high.
Yeah, it works.
Some old people prefer the lower quality.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
when I worked at the shop, they'd come in, do you have anything less potent? I want some like old school weed, like from back in the day. And I'm like, that grow it yourself, like, and do a bad
Right.
job. Like, I don't know. Like,
Throw it in your backyard and just don't touch it.
Yeah.
It'll be there, man.
Ooh. You get the seeds, don't worry. It'll have
Yeah.
mold.
Right? Oh, the mold, man. Ugh. That Mexican brick. That's all I used to get back in the day. I remember I was
Yeah.
in like ninth grade or something, and Pineapple Express came out, that movie, and I remember them like looking at like 3D nugs and shit, and I was like, Hollywood doesn't know what weed looks like, bro. This shit's 2-dimensional. I was like, I smoke weed. I know what weed is. Just
Yeah.
a fucking brick press of kilos this big. It's like, 8% THC. You're like,
If
ugh.
it's not flat, it's not real, right?
Right? Yeah, that's prop weed.
Oh, dang. Well, I did want to just take a second and ask the chat, though. I meant to do this earlier, but I forgot. If they had any questions for Alchemist about, like, maybe some CBD stuff or extraction related to CBD or hemp that he might be able to answer. Or a question about something else that we talked about. I just wanted to mention. I kind of haven't been looking at the chat too much. Just want to see.
Do I miss the game H1Z1 the most? That was the best game.
Easy. Why he's so cute? That's a good one.
Oh no.
Is nano CBD real? Ooh.
Yes. So I actually know a guy out here that has a nano company. What they do is it's some product from Sigma Aldrich. I'm not exactly sure. It's called a surfactant. So what they do is it's basically the same way like soap works. So the CBD THC molecules are non-polar. So they're like lipophilic. They love fats. They don't like water. So they're not water soluble. So what they do is it's called a micelle. It's like it basically looks like a little like circle with a like long tail on it. So the long tail is non-polar, it's more fat loving. And then the circle side is more polar, it likes more like water. So what happens is the little tail side attaches to the THC or CBD, and you have all those little polar heads on the other side. So it encapsulates it all the way around with all these little like hairs with balls on the outside. So then basically what happens is you make like a little bubble, and the little bubble is like soluble in water. It's really not soluble. It's just kind of a emulsion. So it mixes in, so it looks clear and everything. It's just like a nano emulsion. So it's not actually water soluble like they always claim. It's kind of like a little like trick that they can do. But yeah, we had a buddy that would he had a whole company doing that where he used to rent out our lab space and mix it all up, had a big shaker, and then he had a little spray vap. It would spray the liquid solution around on the outside, and then you had a little blade that would come by and scrape it off, and then you get this powder out the bottom. And then you could take those powders and put it in little packs like a liquid IV or like a Propel or something. And you dump that in water and shake it up, and then it would be soluble in the water. I mean, it would dissolve in the water somewhat. It would just make an emulsion. It wouldn't actually be water soluble. You're not really changing the molecule. The THC or CBD is still hydrophobic. It'll just suspend in the water pretty much.
So nano emulsified doesn't mean that it's water soluble. It just means that
Yeah,
it
so
spreads out better.
an emulsion is not really soluble. It's like you ever like a hollandaise sauce or something, or like mayonnaise or anything. That's all like, that's an emulsion. Basically, you're getting oil and water essentially to mix together and stay suspended together without separating, but they're not technically soluble together. It's just like a suspension of soluble and non-soluble where they're stuck together but not really soluble. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
explain.
It's like that CBD water, shake it up a little bit before you drink it, or
Yeah. I mean, it would just be like a powder you'd mix in there and shake it all up. Because if you just tried to dump straight CBD in there, you'd end up with like, a layer of oil on top, and then you have
yeah.
big water in the bottom. But if you have that powder around it, it'll suspend throughout the liquid. So it's basically little nano bubbles of the oil throughout it that you
Yeah.
can't see. They're just so small, it looks like it's all dissolved in there. Like,
Powder around it. So the powder is a separate thing that's added,
Mhm.
or okay.
Yeah. So it's you're adding those little micelles, the little like hairs and balls that go around and stick
Yeah.
onto it.
Okay.
And then he
It's a
had like an
lot.
ultrasonic mixer where you put it on there and there's like little sound waves like like mix it all up, so they mix up together
Yeah.
so well that they all stick around the CBD, and then put that in a little spray vap and then dry it off, and you end up with a powder. You basically put a powder with CBD and liquid together, mix it all together so the powder sticks to the CBD,
Yeah.
bake off the liquid, and then you end up with just the CBD powder inside the powder you started with. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does, because I've seen the powder. And I guess I've always wondered, like, it's like an already existing powder, because the milligram dose doesn't equal how much powder. Sometimes it's so much powder for whatever the dosage is
Yeah.
if you're buying it. So
Yeah.
that is interesting. I thought that made it water soluble, but I guess the way that you describe it makes sense. Where it
I mean, it
suspends
like
better, but it's
yeah,
not
it'll
not
suspend in the water,
exactly.
but I mean, you're just like semantics at that point, you know, like
Hmm.
it's dissolved in the water, but it's not technically water soluble. It's not like you're taking, oil and making it able to dissolve in water. You're basically taking oil and shaking up water so much that the oil is suspended throughout all the water where you can't really see it anymore, but it's not
Yeah.
changing the molecular structure where it goes from hydrophobic to hydrophilic. Like it's not gonna, you're not turning it from non-polar to polar, basically. You're just doing a trick to make it look like it is.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. So you shouldn't snort the powder.
I mean, you could try it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend it.
So that
And
isolate that you had, that powder, if you just stir that in there, it would just float around and
yeah, yeah. But if you threw it in like a MCT oil, or if you use like a ethanol, like some sort of tincture, if you just dissolved it in something that's already somewhat non-polar, it'll
okay.
dissolve. But
Yeah, that makes sense. Man, that actually helps me a lot because I think I talk about emulsifying it to make it water soluble, but I that gives me a better understanding.
yeah, I mean, it's just kind of semantics. You're splitting hairs at that point. I mean, it's in
Yeah,
there, but it's not technically soluble. It's like just,
I like to split
well,
hairs.
actually, like, you know what I mean?
Well,
It's like, yeah, I
technically.
mean, it's in there. Like, we actually had a
Yeah,
dude make, we gave him a bunch of D8 distillate, and he gave us, nano D8, and I had a big old bag, like 2 kilos of it, and it's
nano
just sitting in
D8.
yeah, it's still sitting in the freezer. I think I actually made a little
So
dropper. I think I have a tincture of it.
they say that kicks in quicker too when you eat it.
Yeah, that's what they say. So it's supposed to pass first pass metabolism. So what happens is it goes to your liver and then your liver breaks it down. So like when you eat medicines, like someone's saying like boof it in the chat or whatever, like a joke, like that's some real shit. Like if you really
That's
like
the
that's why
best way.
suppositories and everything works so much better because it doesn't go through first pass metabolism. It doesn't go through your liver where your liver breaks it down. It goes right into your bloodstream. So that's kind of like the whole idea of the nano is it's supposed to pass your first pass metabolism. It's supposed to go through your blood barrier passage, whatever, and get right into your system without going through your liver. I don't know how true all that is. You know what I mean? Because I've had a good
Yeah,
bit of like the dose edibles out here are supposed to be nano, and I always buy those, and I'm like, oh, it feels like 50 milligrams of
kicks
the
in
other
in 10
edibles.
minutes,
Like,
bro.
yeah, it's like I don't know about all that. Like,
That's why I have a 10-minute meme timer on my chat. Every time I take edibles, I just put up a
oh,
10-minute timer. Like, it's kicking in 10 minutes. Like,
holy shit.
as if you believe
Like,
it. Am I
that's the other thing with
high?
edibles. Like if you do edibles and you're smoking, I'm always like, I don't know if I feel them. Like it's like I've been high this whole time. I don't know.
That definitely.
Like,
Because you're never like, like,
yeah, it doesn't just slap you in the face. You're like, I'm
uh,
feeling it. Like, you're like, I guess I don't know.
you,
Like
you got to
until it
really only
does.
do the edibles to definitely know.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because even smoking it, you get some 11 hydroxy THC. It's just very like minute amount. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing of the nano is like that's how you get that the 11 hydroxy metabolite, whatever. It's supposed to be through your liver. Your liver processes it into that. So if you're doing the nano, it's supposed to bypass that. Like that's a lot of the claims I see is it's supposed to give
huh?
you a more like natural high, whatever you don't, because like a lot of people say that 11 hydroxy metabolite gives you more like a psychedelic high where people like freak out on edibles. They're like, I think my edible is
Yeah.
laced or whatever, but it's because that byproduct through your liver hits you in a different way than the regular Delta-9 does. So that's like one of the benefits they claim with the nano emulsification, whatever, nano
That it's
gummies,
not
nano.
gonna convert to 11 hydroxy and give you
Yeah,
that
because it's
actual edible high.
that's from first pass metabolism.
Yeah,
So it's
I
like
guess. I guess that makes sense for why it doesn't hit as hard because it literally doesn't hit as hard.
right,
Like,
yeah, it's not the edible high you're looking for, like,
kicks in quicker, but then does it? That's
right?
it. That means it won't last as long then, or shouldn't last as long. Yeah, I
You
literally
think,
never.
right?
I've experimented with them. Anybody in the chat ever had those fucking nano edibles where they're supposed to kick in 10 minutes? I don't know. Like
It's
I've
just
had them a
like
few
so
times.
person to person too. There's some people that eat
Yeah,
5 milligrams and spaz out, and I can eat 300, 400, and I'm chilling. Like it's just it just depends on how your body processes it. Everyone's different. Like it's
yeah.
it's so weird. And really, the science isn't there because it's not federally legalized. So there's not too much research into it. Like I think for a while it was like only one school could grow all the weed that was tested for every federal study. Like
And they're growing mids too. Like they
Yeah,
didn't even know.
yeah.
Like,
Some guy didn't know what he was doing. He just said,
trust me, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
I've been growing mids since the 60s. Well, shit. So, you said you dab mostly? Are you on concentrates? What's up?
Yeah, a lot of dabs. Honestly, I've been feeling these like live resin pins. That's really what I've been going to, bro. It's just so easy. You just throw it in your pocket, your backpack, whatever. You're out in public, just rip it real quick. Like I said though, I have like zero tolerance anymore, bro. Like back in the day, I used to be straight, low temp dab on the micro rig. You gotta do it right, temp it, time it, and everything. Like
Dang.
now I'm just,
Hitting the carts, bro. We got a pen pal in the
oh
in
yeah.
the
I
street.
mean, I like those apothecary pens. Those are the only ones I get. I don't like those distillate pens. They're fucking booty. Like
Yeah. We got 20 different strains in here. You mean it's all the same distillate with a bunch of different terps added to it?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's snow cones out here.
Yeah, for real. They're just dribbling the sauce in there. Yeah.
It's cherry flavored.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
No
dude.
kidding, man. Distillates for edibles. That's the only thing I think it's acceptable to put in, man. Like,
Yeah. Even then, you want that full spectrum, I think. You want
oh
that.
yeah.
You want something.
I
Chad,
just
do we
always,
have
like,
any other questions? What were we saying?
Oh, I was gonna say I see those like rosin edibles and shit for like a premium price. I don't know if I don't want to spring for a rosin like strain specific edible. I mean maybe, but
Uh,
when talking about that whole first pass metabolism going through your liver and everything, I don't know if it works the exact same way. Like it's more just like heady boy shit, I feel like.
yeah. Oh man, the heady boy shit. Come on, bro. I only get the premium, the best of the
Right.
best.
I'll pay you whatever you want. Just give me what's cool.
Just tell me it's great.
Yeah.
Tell me it's amazing. I'll pay you a lot.
Yeah.
Ooh. What's the biggest edible dose you've ever taken? You said a few hundred mgs
Yeah,
earlier.
probably like 500, 600.
Okay.
Not too crazy. I'm like
What,
you,
those
you're champion
incredible-
out here. I see you eating
those-
thousands, bro. I'm not that wild, man.
It's not it's not even like you're getting that high when you're eating thousands if you need to. Like sometimes under 1,000 just doesn't I'm like, am I high? When you're like, that's
Right.
a gram of THC though. So
Right.
I think just the digestion rate for me is a little on the lower side. But sometimes when you like RSO for me, like seems to always hit. I don't know. When I get a good old dose of that,
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
necessarily have to be super high THC, but like the
Yeah.
70, 60%. Most of it's 60, 70%. So if I'm getting a gram of that, I'm getting a decent chunk.
That was some of the best I ever had. Was at a buddy in Pueblo that would make RSO and just little capsules, little gel capsules of RSO, and eat like 3 of those, and you're gone.
Yeah.
Like struggling to sit
tears.
up.
Oh. So who makes the best edibles that you had out there? Somebody said 1906 earlier in chat. I'm pretty sure that's a brand I used to get.
I don't know
Like
if I've ever
peanut butter
tried that
cups.
one. I like the Dosed a lot. Those are supposed to be those nano ones, and they have like a blue raspberry that's pretty good. There's a really cheap one I don't mind either. They're you usually find them for like 20, 25 for 1,000 milligram, and I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but they're 100 milligrams a gummy. They're 10 grams in the 1,000 milligram instead of 20 with the 50s.
Green Hornet? The big boy?
I can't remember. They're like little squares. It's been so long since I've done edibles, man. I've been
Dang.
chilling. I'm like through this like trying to like because they just liquidated my lab, so I'm like applying to a bunch of jobs, and a lot of jobs out here are sweating like you can't fail for THC. Woo. So I'm like kind of on like a little break trying to pass a drug test, but then like Yeti, yeah, Tori's right. Yeti, that's what it is. Yeti's the 1,000 for $20, whatever. But I'm just like,
Bro,
I'm
get
trying
a
not to
job at a
smoke.
med spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that way you can.
I know. I'm looking. Everything's like, we'll give you $16 an hour, and I'm just like, man, like I can't make rent out here with that. You know what I mean? It's a struggle,
Yeah.
dude. Like,
It's fucked. Shit, if anybody has dispensaries in Colorado and you're watching, if
Yeah,
you
hit
need
me up.
anybody to assist with extractions, I am going to post this later on like Rumble, I'm gonna post the full video on, as well as YouTube. I have another channel for sessions like this.
Nice.
I gotta remember.
Yeah. Tell him hit me up. I'm open to anything.
Yeah, if anybody's watching Alchemist, what I guess you been doing any streaming lately? I didn't really ask you about that.
Yeah. I've been trying to get back into it. I've just been so lazy with it, man. I'm trying to get a schedule back going. I've been playing a lot of like Tarkov and CS:GO and just jumped in on the new Tarkov wipe. I am garbage at that game, bro. I don't know how everyone does it. That game is so hard, dude.
I think I gotta try Dark and Darker, which seems like
Dude,
the
yes. All my buddies have been
ARPG
telling me
version.
that, man. They said that's the new wave. I have to give it a shot too.
Shooters are hard for me, bro. I can't click people on the head faster than they can click me on
Me
the
either,
head.
man.
So
I
it's
used
like
to be able to. Well, I'm getting old, man.
I never could. So oh man, dang. Well, I think in like I don't know if you're busy later. I was gonna see if I could talk Enter into it too. There's this game like Only Up called Only Climb. I've been getting little squads on stream and playing. It's like $6 on Steam, I think. I don't know if
Okay.
you want to play that. It's a little platformer. I was trying to come up with like a little group to play. I think they just updated it today to improve the multiplayer, so I haven't
I'd be all
tested it
about
yet.
it, man. I'm always looking for new games.
Shit, I'm actually I'm gonna send it to you. Just in case. Just in case.
Just in case.
Just
No, I'll
in
snag it,
case.
man.
That's a good one. I'm pulling up the page so I can do that in a minute. Yo, Apothecary is so turpy. I used to get Apothecary a lot. Are
Oh
they
yeah.
still like 35 a G or?
Well, like I was saying, because they reduced the limit, so you only buy 8 grams a day. So all the time I'll see where it's like 8 grams of that ambrosia batter for like 100, 120 or something. So I'll usually go up there and stock up on like 8 and then last me
Yeah.
for a while, man, because I got those baby lungs now. So I think like 2, 3 dabs, I'm cold chilling.
Dang. I just sent you the game. Yeah, Enter. I'm gonna send it to you too. You're a cool
Sweet.
dude. It's just like it's a fun game as a group, and I've been trying to get more people on the
So it's like team
on.
based, or you like time trying each other, or?
It's not team based. You can race each other. You can fuck with each other. Have you seen anybody play Only Up?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, it's like that, but you could just have other people in the same lobby as you, essentially.
Oh, cool.
So
Like
it's
body block you when you're trying to jump and shit.
there's a headbutt, so you can actually knock people off.
Oh
But
no.
I kind of want to do like I haven't been to the top of the game, and it would be kind of ridiculous to try to say race to the top. But if we have like a 10-minute race to a certain point in the game and have some sort of guidelines, and you can knock people off, there might be like a fun game that we can come out of. Like loser has
Yeah,
to do a
that sounds
fat
like
hit,
fun. I'm all about it,
or
man.
everybody gets to smoke weed but the loser before the next round or something. I don't even know.
Right? I'm cool with that.
It's a fun one. Add the cart. You doing any other social media stuff?
No, I really need to. I got an Instagram, but I haven't posted on there in forever.
Huh.
Just I'm an old man, bro. Out here falling behind.
Shit. That's fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Enter,
is,
add
man.
me on Steam so I can send you the
Oh, do I have
game.
you on Steam?
No, I have you. I don't have Enter. I was gonna see
Oh,
if I
okay.
can get him on there too. I don't know. Cause Enter watches your stream, or you watch. You guys know each other,
Yeah,
right?
me and Intro are homies.
That's what's up. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Both
dang.
in the Pokemon scene. Both little nerds.
Oh, the Pokemon. Oh yeah. You guys were doing some the pack opening streams. I think
Oh
you used to
yeah.
do some of those.
Yeah, I used to do that back in the day.
Dang, that gets really fun.
It is fun. That is fun, especially when you pull something crazy.
Yeah. What's the craziest thing you pulled, like value wise?
For Pokemon, probably the Hidden Fates Charizard. Tori pulled that one. I think it's like 600, $700 or something like that. It's up there.
You still
And
got it?
yeah, I think I got it next to me. Let me see.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna actually take a leak while you grab
This one. I got this one right here. I gotta send it off to get graded. Getting ready for another PSA submission. We sent off a bunch to a PSA already. It's kind of crazy. We sent off a submission and got almost like all tens back. If we got anything else cool? Oh, this was cool. The sports card I pulled. Shohei Ohtani is out of 25, I think. So this is like sophomore year. This one's, I think, probably 500, 600 raw. So you get that one graded too.
There's some baseball cards in there too.
Oh yeah, yeah, ripping sports. We did it all, man.
I got a whole book of like Michael Jordan cards.
Damn, for real?
Yeah, it's just like I don't know if they're like in super good condition or any rare runs, but I just have like a whole book of them from when I was a kid.
What's crazy about cards, man, is like one little ding in the corner could change the value by like $800. You're like, what the hell, dude? Like,
yeah. I don't hold on to them because I'm like, these is gonna be worth millions one day. I hold on to them. I'm like, I don't know, I've had them forever. It's kind of cool. Like,
yeah, yeah. I unboxed the Counter-Strike skin the other day, and when I first unboxed it, it was like $9,000. I was like, holy shit! Now it's down to like $3,000, and I'm still like, I don't know if I should sell it or if it's gonna go up or down.
Yeah, I don't know the market on that. I heard about the skins, bro. You can really make some fucking money on that shit.
Dude, yeah, I bought a knife like years ago for 250, sold it for 320. Now it's like 6 grand. I'm like, damn it, I shouldn't have sold that thing. So that's why I'm like, I got FOMO on this new skin I got. I'm like, I don't want to sell it yet. I don't know.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be 38 grand one day. Like, you never know.
Man, dude, I've seen some. It's the same skin in better condition, listed for like 20,000. So I'm like, shit, like maybe that should.
Just conditions.
Yeah, with Counter-Strike, it's kind of crazy, man. Like,
what affects the condition? It's all random.
Yeah, just how it unboxes. It's just how they like generate the skin when you open it. Like, so like Fact New is the best, and the Minware is the next. And I got a Minware one, and it's 002 off Fact New, and I've seen the Fact New ones going for like 20,000. So I'm 002 off like 15K more. I'm like, shit.
How much are the CS:GO cases?
Bro, they used to be cheap. I used to open a bunch of them because you have to buy the case and then you have to buy the key. So the cases used to be like 20, 30 cents. Now the cases are going for like $1, $2, $3, and then you got to pay $250 to open the case. So you're looking at like $4 to $5 for each one you open, and then I'd say probably 95% of the time you're getting something out of there. It's worth like 15 cents, 5 cents. Like, it's just
how do they do this, bro?
It's crazy. I don't know.
I've always seen that, but I don't play Counter-Strike or shooters, so I don't know. Like, a knife skin, I don't care, bro. I'm not gonna kill anybody with a gun or the knife. Like,
right?
Yeah. Am I gonna run around with a $20,000 knife skin just getting fucking killed by a first day player? Like,
dude, they get up there, man. It's like $100,000 knives and stuff. It's crazy. Like,
honestly, it would be really fun to have like the super expensive skins where people are like, that guy dropped 6 figures on this game, and just be god awful at it. Like,
dude, that's how it is most of the time, man. You see some dude and he has like a $200,000 loadout and he has like 4 kills. You're like, what are you doing?
I look really cool.
Skins for the wins, baby.
Does that make you a target or?
Oh no, dude! It's just
because you want to kill the guy with the $2,000 loadout, like,
right? You should get a bounty.
You got a price on your head. Damn, that's really funny. Well, I was thinking maybe in a little bit you want to hop on that game. I don't know if you got any stuff that you're doing. Bro.
I think we're making some chicken parm, but other than that, I think we're good to go,
it's super cash. You can always take food breaks and whatnot. But
sweet.
Chat, you want to do some only climbing? We'll do the only climb. I think we'll hop in Discord for that, so we can just wrap this up, and that way the person who edits this doesn't have too much footage to go through. And
yeah,
there you go. But yeah, let's you want to shout out any of your socials? I know you kind of just did a little bit ago, but there should be some on your channel page, right? If they go to your about.
I think so.
Oh, you don't have them.
Oh, I guess I got locked out everything. I need to work on my page a lot, bro.
You can add links here, like Insta, Twitter, all that here under your settings. I'll give you like 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mycologist. We got to talk about the shroomies next year.
We'll have to do that sometime, bro.
That could be a good next time chat. Something to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Inter must have given the shout out. I keep forgetting about the cool one. Chat, did everybody follow Alchemist? He went from 707. We passed the 710 mark. That's good.
Ooh, we made it.
We've made it. But yeah, anything cool you got coming up? I know we were talking about the job and stuff that you're looking for, but you got anything, any streams you're doing soon? Any?
No, I should be streaming, you know, just I guess put on notifications, follow the channel if you're interested. I'm gonna be doing a lot more streams recently for sure. I'm trying to set down like hammer out a schedule. I'm thinking like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It might just be grind it out every day type deal. I don't know. I'm gonna be in there blowing chunks at Tarkov and CS:GO, man. If you're trying to come kick it,
I like it.
learn how not to play the games.
There you go. Tips and tricks.
Oh yeah.
On what not to do.
Top 10
Hell
10
yeah.
mistakes not to make.
Well, I need everybody in the chat to say bye, Alchemist710. Thank him for coming on here. Don't forget to drop him a follow. Check out his stream channel. We got the links in there.